Todoroki versus ninjas, Momo versus a super genius, and Katsuki Bakugo does battle with a man who turns people into meatballs. Hello my friends and welcome to my review of another episode of My Hero Academia, and this episode right here was super entertaining. Finally got to see some other characters who get very little development actually do something that I really appreciated about this episode. It was divided into three super fun parts. The first half of the episode is Shoto Todoroki battling against this group of Power Ranger ninjas who have all sorts of crazy abilities. We were already introduced to some of them in the last episode. This one guy can actually throw objects which can enlarge, but the other members of the team all seem to have some sort of elemental power, whether it be water or dirt or even super strength of some kind, and they work together to actually do a pretty good job of pushing Shoto Todoroki back. But, of course, Todoroki is very smart as he is powerful and is able to make use of the landscape around him to trap these guys and destroy them in a massive explosion, thus earning him a top spot. What I really loved about the Shoto Todoroki scene is that they're implying that he's getting a lot better at simultaneously using his powers, using the ice and the fire at the same time, and the way that he actually utilized them to trap these guys was just so smart and very impressive. I really liked these ninja characters too. They were a lot of fun, and seeing them all together utilizing their quirks really showed that they could be very powerful. I hope to see a lot more of these guys in the future because, man, they are frigging awesome. What is cool, though, is that when Shoto Todoroki does actually win, he goes to the winning pavilion where all the other people have arrived, and he gets to see Inasa talking to this one random guy who is so creeped out by Inasa's enthusiasm. It's definitely one of the funniest scenes of the episode. I wonder how awesome this tiger-looking man is if he had to actually make it here to be a winner. Maybe we'll get to see more of these guys in action, but you can definitely feel the tension in the room when Inasa looks over at Shoto Todoroki. The bulk of this episode, however, focuses on the characters of Kyoka, Momo, Shoji, and Tsuyu, and that's because they're being targeted by this really crazy group of insane girls. And they're led by this woman by the name of Saiko Intelli, who has the quirk of IQ, which basically allows her to become a super genius. Thus, she's able to analyze just about any situation, and she allows her team of super-powered women to end up taking out the enemies. Most of the tension in this episode comes from the fact that since this girl is so smart, she is actually able to trap all of these students in this room and is able to know everything that they're going to do in every situation so that no matter what, they're going to actually end up defeating them. But that's where Momo comes in. While a lot of these characters truly do get to shine, it's really Momo who ends up being kind of the big star of this episode, and frankly, I think it's about time. We finally got to see her utilizing her quirks and her analytical abilities in a very tense situation, and the way that she actually worked with her fellow students was definitely one of the highlights of this episode. I will admit, however, it is a shame that we didn't get to see too much from Tsuyu. I know she's very popular with a lot of people in the My Hero Academia fandom, and then of course there's Shoji, who again I still feel is underutilized despite the fact that we have seen him a good amount in the series. And even Kyoka gets to do a lot of really awesome things in this episode by of course using her earjack abilities to hear when these enemies are getting closer, but they know about their weaknesses, so they start like blaring this loud super rock music, which actually manages to hurt her, causing one of the other students to shoot her when she walks in front of the window, which damages her ear, so she's not going to be as powerful as she needs to be. Then suddenly, one of the girls has this icy mist ability and starts pouring it into the room and freezing all of them. Since Tsuyu is a frog girl, she ends up going into hibernation, they're freezing to death, and they're absolutely screwed. There's almost no way that they're going to get out of this situation, and even if Momo tries to do something, she would risk using all of her power. This would knock her out, and then they would be susceptible to getting smacked with some balls. However, the key thing to take away from this episode is that all of the class has been inspired by Deku and even Katsuki Bakugo to never give up. When they have an opportunity to do something, they should go for it 100% no matter the risk. That's what it means to be a hero. And Momo decides that she might not be able to get her provisional license, but if she can save her friends, she's going to be willing to do it. So what she does is she ends up giving everybody headphones and creating a massive amp, which Kyoka hooks up to, sending a massive sound signal out, taking out all of these girls at once. The only one left, of course, is Saiko and Telly, who is desperately going to do everything in her power to take out Momo by trapping her in that room again. But luckily her teammates bust in, save the day, and they end up victorious, actually passing the exam right there. Even though I really love this stuff, the one character that I'm most interested to learn about now is definitely Seiji Shishikora. He's a character who appears at the very end of the episode, and he's from Shiketsu, and like a lot of the other students from that school, he's absolutely insane, kind of sociopathic as well, and he has got to have one of the most disturbing quirks that I have seen from the entire series. He actually ends up doing battle against Katsuki Bakugo, Kaminari, and even Eijiro, and his quirk actually allows him to fire these giant balls of flesh at people, which, when they actually touch someone, transforms them into this shrinked-down, meatballed Cronenberg monster. Watching someone actually get hit by this attack is highly disturbing, and when Kirishima actually ends up getting attacked by it, it just completely transforms him into this blob version of himself where he can't even move or do anything. Now, that alone is disturbing, but the character of Seiji is really messed up because he's clearly taken out enough opponents to actually win. And he could just do it, but he's actually just doing this because of his extreme pride and the fact that, like I said, he's kind of sociopathic. Problem is, he's going up against Katsuki Bakugo, so I imagine a pretty epic battle is going to ensue. In fact, the episode ends with Aizawa giving this speech about the fact that everyone's been influenced by Deku and Katsuki, and because of that, there's no reason to look down on them. They're always at the center of these big things that are going on, and they're gonna light up this exam in the next episode. So what's the rundown on this episode of My Hero Academia? I loved this episode right here. I love that we got to see more of the actual side characters actually doing something, working together, utilizing their quirks in a number of interesting ways. There were some cheesy elements to this episode, I have to admit. When they finally defeated Saiko and Telly in the second half of the episode, the fact that it was all about the power of friendship and everything, that whole scene was really preachy. I'm willing to let that go, though, if only for how fun Saiko and her group of crazy girls actually were. Her ability IQ is also really unique in the fact that the way that she actually activates it is by drinking tea, and she does so by drinking from, like, teacups and stuff. Wouldn't it be more efficient to actually have, like, water bottles or containers which actually contain the tea, and in case she gets into these, like, really dangerous situations? She's smart, she should have thought of this, but that's what's kind of funny about her character. She's just the super genius girl who looks down on everyone, and her group of girls are also really unique. If only they got to do a little bit more, but at least we got to see some of their quirks in action. Some of them can fire lasers from their fingertips, some of them can spread icy mist, some of them have giant porcupine spines, or hair that can move around like tendrils, or giant tentacle arms. It's so freaking weird, but I love this group of characters. Basically, what I'm trying to say is this episode was a lot of fun, and a lot of those characters got to show off. Shoto Todoroki's battle against the elemental ninjas at the beginning of the episode was also really, really awesome. But really, for me, it's all about that Seiji character at the end, being able to transform people into giant meat blobs. Just, that's so messed up. Like, I'm not sure, like, how much more he can utilize that ability and how it can actually benefit him outside of actually trapping people, because really that's all you need. If you can incapacitate them, there's not really much more you need. But the way that it's actually, like, shown with, like, the flesh coming from his body, which almost kind of looks like they're designed after fingers, which fire like missiles towards the opponents, is so unique and honestly unexpected. The way that they actually built up to that, too, was so strange, because it was after Saiko's defeat, and you see this ball drop on the floor, which rolls towards a giant mass of someone who's already been transformed into that. When I saw that for the first time, I was like, what the fuck is that? And then they immediately cut to this guy who shows off that ability, and it was a fantastic reveal. It was so crazy and unique, and again, one of the many reasons why I love My Hero Academia. We also had a short scene of Deku, Ochako, and even Hantasero actually escaping from some of their opponents and managing to defeat them in the process as well. Also, I know I'm tardy to the party on this one, but I just now noticed that Hantasero's helmet is actually based on a tape dispenser. Yeah, I know, I'm dense, but that's such a cool little feature. So far, the Provisional License Exam arc has been action-packed and a ton of fun. They've introduced so many unique characters to the point where I really think this is another one of those anime series that you can watch multiple times over because you're always going to end up seeing something different, some new details. Just look at some of the characters in the background. They are ridiculous and fun in the best ways possible. Hopefully we get to see the return of Awkward Tiger Man. I don't know. All I'm saying is that this episode right here was great. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts about it. You can tell me all of them in the comment section below. What did you think of this episode of My Hero Academia? What was your favorite battle sequence from this episode, your favorite character, and what do you hope to see from the rest of this arc of My Hero Academia? Thank you guys for watching this review. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay down now, baby.